Hockey fans all over the world know this. Jerseys and merch are expensive, and for fans in US and Canada, you will know that attending a single game can be worth from a week of groceries all the way to a month of rent. So today we'll be talking about affordability vs profitability in hockey. Hi, I am Ava, and this is Caelia. Welcome to Bake the Game. If you enjoy chatting about the NHL and business and marketing, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. You might see her pop up, like her heads pop up throughout the episodes. She's very excited, even if it's late, and she's decided to just be with her mama the entire time. Also, I might sound a little sick because I had major allergies today, and so my nose has been fighting for its life all day. I was checking NHL game prices earlier this year when I was in Chicago for a business trip. Unfortunately, I ended up not being able to attend any game because I was just too busy handling trade shows and all the meetings I had to handle while I was there. But it did hit me that any decent-ish seat for a Blackhawks game was the same price as my season ticket for the Korean team that I follow. This led me down kind of a rabbit hole, looking at ticket prices, merch price, etc. for the NHL. Since I do not live in a country where the NHL is particularly active, I was familiar with our local merch and ticket prices, not as much with the US and NHL prices. And as you may know and have seen in episode 1 of Bake the Game, I'm not really a big merch purchaser. I own one of the lowest quality jerseys for the team, one for my university, and then I have one Bruins pin, one HL pin, HL being the Korean team, and then a few Hockey Korea hoodies, and then this winter vest that I bought 2 weeks ago, and this is the most expensive item I own, and it was about $70. So it's really not at all the same prices as the NHL prices. I realized really quickly everything was super expensive if you aren't just looking at clearance rack, and even the $10 items are actually super expensive for what they are. The Bruins pin I have was, I think, $10 when I bought it. I bought it at the shop in Boston. And, I mean, it's an enamel pin, that's it. I think the HL one was the equivalent of $6. So, completely different budget. I initially thought the booster boxes for the official NHL collectibles cards, I want to call them TCG cards, but they're not TCG cards. They're just collectible cards, were reasonably priced because I was comparing them with Pokemon cards, and I collect Pokemon cards, so I don't deal anything with value of those cards, but I do like the art on them, so I collect them. And I realized that the NHL ones are basically just game photos. And then some might have a little extra on it, like a signature or something. Compared to Pokemon cards that are prints of actual art with artists that are behind those cards, and some are more rare, some are more complex, there's like a difference in the cards. And yet the boosters for the NHL packs and the boosters for the Pokemon card are the exact same price. Currently, just to attend an NHL game, with the lowest ticket prices, those are about $60, with the average of non-premium tickets being $88. So now that's not actually what the game cost to attend, because you need to factor in everything else around the ticket. Most people that attend will at least have one other person with them. That's basically $176 on average. Then you would have drinks. I don't think a lot of people go to a hockey game and then not buy at least a drink. That's easily $10 to $15 depending on the arena. And for my calculation, I'll be reasonable. I will assume that they are not buying alcohol. So I will stick to soft drinks and one per person when over a 3-hour game. I'm assuming most people will get more than one. And if there's adults involved, there'll probably be alcohol. So I'm counting $20 for 2 people for drinks. Then I'm assuming a snack each, because again, you're going to a game, it's a treat, snack each. That's another $20. Let's assume $10 per snack, and I think I'm being relatively reasonable when I'm assuming $10 per snack at an NHL game. Then, depending how you came to the game, you either have to add the parking and gas or any of your transportation costs, and then you get your minimum cost to attend a game. For that is literally the minimum cost. That, and I would assume most people will get at least a hat for the team if they're attending a game. That's $30 on top. The only difference between the hat and everything else is the hat you get to keep afterwards. But basically, attending an NHL game is a minimum of $100 if alone, and very quickly over $200 if you want a more average experience. And then again, that is considering that I have done this calculation with the cheapest possible seats and basically the cheapest of everything. If you want a decent view, tickets in the NHL price go up to like $250 in those average middle seats for a decent view. And if you want to be an ice side experience, you can count on your seat counting at least $500. And for comparison, my season ticket in Caelia is 250,000 won, which is about $200. My season ticket is $200. So, very different pricing. Although the costs do vary pretty widely within the NHL, with Florida being one of the cheapest and Toronto being one of the most expensive arenas to go to. And honestly, merchandising isn't a lot better. $10 for a pin or a keychain, $120 is the cheapest jersey replica. You need $230 if you want a premium replica, and over $400 if you want an authentic pro jersey. Sweaters, scarves, and all the other wearable merchandise are also really up there in prices, and often they're not delivering the quality to match the price. I love this sweater. I'm not going to complain too much, but I can see, for example, here there's elastics fraying already, and that is a relatively common experience for merchandise in ice hockey or any other sports, really. NHL franchises' value keep going up, averaging $2.1 billion. Some franchises go over $4 billion, and some go down to about $1 billion. The lowest are about $1 billion. They receive revenue from so many sources, including outsized contributions from sponsorship, advertising, and media. So let's be honest, and making merch and tickets a little less expensive and a little more affordable would not make a big dent in any of these franchises' profits. Then we can ask why they price this way. There are two rather simple explanations: maximization of profit and targeting. The NHL has the ability to choose the inelastic part of demand when they're targeting their customer, aka when demand volume remains stable over time. So elastic demand is when the volume tends to change a lot, and inelastic demand is when the volume kind of stays the same regardless of the period of the year or prices, etc. And this target that is inelastic when it comes to hockey is typically your high earner customer. So when you're targeting that customer, you will increase your prices. And the goal of this pricing behavior is higher price points, lower volume volatility, while maximizing per capita income. Typically, I'm not the ideal customer for any hockey team because I buy my tickets, in this case my season ticket. I never bring anyone else to a game. I usually bring my own water, I usually bring my own home-baked snacks, and I buy almost no merch. I probably buy one item per season, which is not a lot. On the other hand, a fan that comes in, buys their tickets, brings friends, gets concession snacks, stays for autograph and signing, and then will buy merch is the absolute dream for those franchises' business divisions. And mostly those fans typically are in a higher tax bracket than most people. But the NHL has also been adopting a dynamic pricing, which is also called an airline model, which is the higher the demand, the higher the price, and the lower the demand, the lower the price. And the NHL some teams in the NHL has been adopting this specific strategy when it comes to ticketing. The NHL has already been addressing the inaffordability of their games, but keep in mind that even while they are addressing that, they are still targeting that inelastic demand, but they're still widening their targets. They use a 3-tier logic, which is on basically everything they offer. They have a good, better, and best strategy on seating, merch, and food. So some teams will have standing room and student nights with ID verified discounts. That would be the good. That is also your lowest quality replica jersey. That is good. Then you would have your better, which would be your middle seats, and your higher quality replica jersey. And then you have your best strategy, which is your ice side and authentic pro jerseys. They could decide to do only that top pricing range, but they don't. So that is that 3-tier thing they do to try and widen their market as much as possible. But you can see by the pricing of even their lowest offer that in the end what they're targeting is inelastic demand. Some teams also have family bundles and discounts, but let's be honest, the way sports are in the US currently, they're a luxury. Or at least they're really priced as a luxury. I think that's unfortunate because I'm lucky enough to live in a country where that's not the case. But in US currently, sports or being a sports fan and being able to attend a game in person is a luxury. I would personally love to see community price caps in the NHL that are reviewed based on local median income. We're pretty lucky in Korea to have access to watching hockey and other sports professional leagues at really reasonable prices adapted to the local market. Because a $250 ticket per ticket in Korea would be completely unimaginable. I also don't want to see teams going underwater because they really, really want to stay affordable, which is very much not applicable to the NHL. The NHL is very profitable and lowering the price would absolutely not hurt their bottom line. But it is very applicable to our local hockey team here in Korea. The rink is tiny, usually it's not sold out, and there isn't really that much merch volume. And honestly, in those cases, the team is basically at a loss on every single game. In a situation like baseball in Korea, lower prices is offset by the volume of attendance, which allows teams to avoid their financial issues. So teams are still making a whole bunch of money, even though their prices are lower, just because of the sheer volume of visitors. But unfortunately, that's not the case for hockey. So honestly, they probably need to review their pricing model, at least the Korean hockey team, move to a bigger rink or start doing more customer acquisition type marketing, just because we currently do not have that many fans in Korea. And a lot of the fans are foreigners that are in Korea for a short period of time. Hey! The bottom line is that profitability and affordability do not always contradict each other. In the current system, this definitely seems like it, but they don't always have to. It's unlikely that it will change. unless some team owners have massive changes of heart and priorities, which is super unlikely. But I guess a girl could dream. No? I know. Anyway, I know there is no satisfactory conclusion to this episode. I hope you enjoyed being with us on Bake the Game today. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Caelia and I wish you a wonderful day, and may your team score many goals this week. Bye!